Hello, and welcome. My name is Justin Durtschi, and today we're going to dive into the topic of disaster response. Disasters can strike at any time and have significant impacts on individuals around the world. Understanding how we respond to these events is crucial for minimizing their effects and supporting recovery efforts. In this video, we'll explore the different phases of disaster response, from the initial moments when a disaster strikes to the long-term efforts to rebuild and return to normalcy. We'll cover the pre-disaster phase, where preparation and mitigation efforts take place to reduce the potential impact of disasters. The impact phase, the critical moments during and immediately after the disaster. The heroic and honeymoon phases, characterized by immediate response and community bonding. The disillusionment phase, where the challenges of long-term recovery begin to set in. The reconstruction phase, focusing on rebuilding and revitalizing affected areas. And finally, the transition to normalization, where communities strive to return to a stable and functioning state. We will go over some of the needs and challenges of some of these phases, as well as unique challenges some people face. So, let's get started and take a closer look at each of these phases in detail. The pre-disaster phase, also known as the mitigation and preparedness phase. This phase is all about taking proactive steps to minimize the impact of potential disasters and ensuring that communities are well prepared to respond effectively. Mitigation involves identifying potential hazards and implementing measures to reduce the risk and impact of these hazards. Here are some key components. Preparedness. Preparedness focuses on ensuring that communities are ready to respond effectively when a disaster strikes. The impact phase. This phase occurs when the disaster strikes and causes immediate damage and disruption. Needs and challenges include immediate response. Rapid and effective response is crucial during the impact phase. Communication. Effective communication is vital to coordinate response efforts and disseminate critical information to the public. Emergency services. Mobilizing emergency services, including medical personnel, firefighters, police, and disaster response teams, is essential. Shelter and evacuation. Providing immediate shelter and organizing evacuations for those in danger is a top priority. Resource allocation. Quickly allocating and distributing resources such as food, water, medical supplies, and emergency equipment is necessary to support both survivors and responders. The impact phase is crucial for minimizing the immediate effects of a disaster and laying the groundwork for subsequent recovery efforts. Rapid and effective action during this phase can significantly reduce casualties and damage, setting the stage for a more effective recovery process. The heroic phase. This phase occurs immediately after the disaster and is marked by high levels of activity and altruism. In the heroic phase, there's a strong sense of unity and mutual support. People come together to help those in need. First responders, volunteers, and community members work to provide food, water, shelter, and medical care to those affected. The heroic phase is characterized by high levels of altruism and optimism. The immediate surge of help and support creates a sense of hope and possibility. Challenges include ensuring that emergency supplies are distributed effectively and efficiently, managing the emotional toll on both survivors and responders, and effective coordination among various agencies and volunteers. The honeymoon phase. This phase typically lasts from 1 week to 3 months after disaster. During this phase, there's a strong sense of unity and hope. This phase is characterized by high levels of altruism and volunteerism. The influx of support from external sources, including government agencies, nonprofit organizations, and volunteers, creates a sense of optimism and possibility. Challenges. Resource management. Ensuring that resources are distributed effectively remains a challenge. Emotional impact. As the reality of the situation sets in, survivors may start to experience grief, trauma, and stress. Coordination. Effective coordination among various aid efforts, volunteers, and agencies is essential. Safety risks. Responders may continue to face risks, particularly in damaged areas. Unfortunately, this phase can sometimes be short-lived. As the initial wave of support fades, survivors may feel disillusioned by the slow pace of recovery and unmet expectations. This highlights the need for sustained support and mental health resources. The disillusionment phase. This phase can be one of the most challenging periods. During the disillusionment phase, the initial sense of hope and unity begins to fade. Survivors and responders may start to feel the emotional and physical toll of the disaster. Persistent stress and trauma can lead to emotional exhaustion and burnout. Feelings of frustration, anger, and hopelessness become more common as the reality of long-term recovery sets in. The slow pace of recovery and ongoing challenges can lead to significant frustration. Survivors may feel that their needs are not being met and that progress is stagnating. External support from volunteers, media, and donations often diminishes over time. This reduction in assistance can exacerbate feelings of abandonment and isolation. Increased conflict. As resources become scarcer and challenges mount, tensions within communities can rise, leading to conflicts and disagreements. Potential clinical conditions: depression, persistent sadness, loss of interest, and feelings of hopelessness. Anxiety disorders, excessive worrying, restlessness, and physical symptoms of anxiety. Post-traumatic stress disorder (PTSD), flashbacks, nightmares, and severe anxiety related to the disaster. Substance use disorders, increased use of alcohol or drugs as a coping mechanism. Treatment and support. Psychotherapy, cognitive behavioral therapy (CBT), and other therapeutic approaches can help individuals process their experiences and develop healthier coping mechanisms. Medications: antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, and medications for PTSD may be prescribed by healthcare professionals. Support groups. Joining support groups can provide a sense of community and shared experience, offering comfort and understanding. Mindfulness and relaxation techniques. Practices like meditation, yoga, and deep breathing exercises can help reduce stress and anxiety. Lifestyle changes. Regular physical activity, a healthy diet, and adequate sleep can improve overall mental health. Professional help. Consulting with mental health professionals for personalized treatment plans and ongoing support is essential. The reconstruction phase. This focuses on long-term rebuilding and recovery efforts after a disaster. Needs and challenges of the reconstruction phase. The reconstruction phase is all about long-term recovery. This period can last for months or even years, depending on the extent of the damage and available resources. Continued mental health support remains essential. Survivors may still be dealing with trauma and loss, so ongoing counseling and psychological services can help them navigate their emotional recovery. Survivors begin to develop a new normal and may experience post-traumatic growth. They may also have an increased need for mental health services due to maladaptive coping skills, such as drinking, gambling, or relationship struggles. The reconstruction phase is critical for laying the foundation for long-term recovery and resilience. Transition to normalization phase. During this phase, people work towards resuming everyday activities and routines. This period is crucial for helping individuals and families regain a sense of normalcy and routine. People return to their daily routines, such as going to work, attending school, and participating in social activities. Lessons learned from the disaster are used to improve disaster preparedness and resilience planning. This phase is critical for helping communities move forward from the disaster and establish a stable, resilient foundation for the future. The normalization phase. During this stage, daily routines and activities are fully re-established. People go back to work, schools operate regularly, and social activities resume. This marks a return to pre-disaster life. Continued mental health support remains essential. Providing access to counseling, therapy, and support groups helps individuals cope with any lingering trauma and promotes long-term psychological well-being. Addressing any remaining inequities and ensuring all community members have access to resources and opportunities is vital for a fair and inclusive recovery. The normalization phase is essential for ensuring that the community not only recovers from the disaster but also thrives and becomes more resilient. Thank you for watching. Information for this video was gathered from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the World Health Organization, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, and the video Needs and Challenges of Disaster. Images and text-to-speech features provided by CapCut and Getty Images.